And welcome, folks, to another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the offense with one Mr. Al Borges. Gorgeous is with us once again. A little late, little computer issues. Hey, you know how we wouldn't be us if we weren't having computer issues. I am surprised to announce, though, that it wasn't Al Borges having the computer issues this time. Hallelujah.
People
Al,
don't just assume I'm a technological moron, do they, Sam? Or maybe just you assume I'm a technological moron, which I
yeah,
am.
you tend not to get the benefit of the doubt from us around here. But that's track record, Al. Track record. Most of the time is you and not me. As a matter of fact, while we're in stream, I might adjust my internet connection just to give you see me pop out for a little bit, and you see just Al Borges on the screen, which is what he wants anyway. That's
Yeah.
what's going on. At
Yeah.
any rate, folks, welcome to another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown. As the Wolverines, another victory 52 points once again, Al. You talk about teams that are fun to cover, fun to break down, and fun to see from a coaching perspective. I like picking your brain to kind of see the things that you're like, man, Sam, that's new. And week after week, we see that with this Michigan football offense.
Yeah, nuance, Sam. We had some nuance. Coach, we got nuance every week, and what's really good about it is it's just not a drastic departure from their basic schematics. It's just something, usually anyway, off something they've already done. Okay, in this game, they ran a counter duo, reduced the split of Roman, and he led it from the line of scrimmage, came all the way behind the lineman. He led the duo, which we haven't seen that, but we're going to illustrate that. I thought that was pretty cool. They ran inside the 10, they ran a little wing duo where they wrapped a guy around. It wasn't Roman this time, but it was a wing back. Countered it, came in behind. I hadn't seen that one before. They ran a little fly crack, Sam. Ooh, a little fly crack. I like that a lot. Now, they have that crack scheme because we saw it last week. Remember, against Minnesota? It didn't work real good, but they had run that down, around. We're going to illustrate that one, too, and go into all the details on that. But this one, they just put Corum in motion and flipped him the ball and cracked, and away we go. Gave him a chance to do a little doogie, which, we haven't really had a lot of this
That's a
year.
t-shirt. That's a t-shirt. Doogie Doogie is a t-shirt.
Doogie, yeah, you got to have that. And then they ran a little dual bluff, although he didn't pull it, so most people probably didn't notice it. Okay, so we're gonna show you that one too, on the film study, because I think that's one. Just remember that one, okay? Because eventually he should have pulled it, because he'd still be running if he did. But as usual, Sam, another new flea flicker. Doggone it! I'm convinced it's this. They treat flea flickers, Sam, like a play action pass and just run them every week, and then just kind of change what the perimeter people do. You know what I'm saying? So it's no different. And I always said, what's a flea flicker? It's a play action pass on steroids, right? Because there's a lot more stuff going on. So I think that was up. So there was that usual 4 to 5 things that you've never seen before. And then the window dressing that goes with their base offense, whether it's a base duo play, a counter, or whatever. So they're fun to break down because it's always a little something different.
Yeah, man. The variety in this run scheme, the variety that they have on offense, there is no place where you get a better feel for that than right here with these breakdowns, with Devin. And Al, you got to get a real appreciation for just how tough they are to prepare for when you take into account all the different changes, which is why I start out with giving Indiana some respect, because I felt this way live. I felt it even more after going over the film. Man, they did some work in the bye week to get ready for Michigan. That team was prepared. And they have defensively, especially, they have some schemes over there. They hold their disguise really, really well.
Better than anybody, yeah. Better than anybody we see. No one will do it better than them. I'll say that. Somebody might.
Yeah, you're gonna have teams who do what they did with better players, maybe.
Yes.
Like
yes.
if they had better players, it would be like, man, you'd be talking about them a whole lot. But for what they have, the challenge that they presented to Michigan out of the gate was one that tested them. And that's why I take a little more out of how Michigan, and especially J.J. McCarthy, responded, right?
Yeah. They did a great job, Sam, of holding their split safety defense and then spinning somebody down late. Again, we're going to go over that in the film study. They did a great job on walk-ups. They did walk-ups. They fooled us a couple times, and whether it was the line of the quarterback, either one, walking people up, showing blitz, either coming or not coming, more often than not coming, but not coming from right where they're standing all the time. So they did, I thought, an excellent job of that. But the one thing that they can't account for, okay, they can't account for the improv, okay, where maybe you don't block it perfect, maybe even screw it up, maybe MA, that happened in the game, but they can't account for number 9's ability to create, okay? And in this game, he did a lot of creating, and we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you go back, and Devin even made a comment about this when he went on the film. It's like, man, they brought some pressures that, hey, man, I just, even watching the tape, I'm looking at it, I'm saying I wouldn't expect that guy to be coming based on this look that they gave you right before the snap. A team that can hold this disguise like Indiana is well coached. But when you have an answer, and I posed this question to you, Alan, it's a great segue into you talking about just how much JJ's legs affected this contest.
Big time, more than any of them.
Yeah, watching him make play after play from about the middle of the second quarter on with his legs. I came over to you and I said, Al, as a play caller, do you feel like this is one of those instances where you're leaning on a great player too much? And your reply to me was no. They have some really, really good stuff, but sometimes, especially when you get deeper in the season against the best teams, it's about you having a player that can make the difference. And this was a player making a difference.
Absolutely. And you got to give him the opportunity to do that. Okay. During the course of the game. Okay. And I broke this down, and I've talked to you about this already, but I think it would be compelling for our listening and watching audiences. He left the game, and Michigan had 317 total yards when he left the game. Okay. I think it was in the third quarter, middle of third quarter, somewhere. I have the timestamp, but I don't have it right in front of me. Out of the 317 yards, Sam, he accounted for 140 of them with his legs. Okay. Either improving a pass play, okay, which he did several times, scrambling and running, which he did a couple times, one for a 20-something yard gain and another one, I think, for a 6-yard gain, pulling a zone play, you know what I mean? Zone read, pulled it, ran around the edge, or a quarterback draw, which I think was his last play, if I'm not mistaken. I think 140 yards, what represents about 44% of their offense. Okay, now that's not saying, well, he passed for this much and we run for this much, so he can. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just his legs, his ability to improv plays. Okay, now I've listened to other shows, and some people say, well, the quarterback has got to get rid of the ball inside of 3 seconds, or it's not the lineman's fault. Do you know how many plays that you'd be turning down that he makes if he got rid of the ball inside of 3 seconds? You may get a sack, right, once in a while, but there were so many plays in this game where he held the ball because somebody was covered or there was a protection issue, whatever. I don't think that holds. I think that's some line coach who came up with that to cover his ass at one time or another. Hey, you got to get rid of it. I talked to Joe Montana about 10 years ago when I was recruiting his son. And Joe had gone to a practice at Washington, and he told me the worst thing you could tell a quarterback, now remember, this is Joe Montana, okay? He said, is get rid of the ball fast. Joe Montana got rid of the ball faster than anybody in the NFL at the time. But Joe believed that the timing took care of that. But there's improv after the timing on third place scenarios. What's a third place scenario? That's a scenario where the quarterback has to do something outside the structure of the play. So, yeah, you want the ball out. But Joe said, that's the worst thing. He says, let the timing tell him when to throw the ball so he doesn't feel compelled to be throwing balls away when he's got the mobility to create. Now, that being said, there are times to throw the ball away. When all is lost, you pick up your weapons and move on. You throw the ball out of bounds or put the ball in the dirt or throw it over the end line. That happens. But if you make him throw it too fast, you are losing what a guy like J.J. McCarthy really does best.
Yeah, man. And I've heard you make some adjustments. That play that JJ made where he's running and he kind of flips it, or really the play going back to the Nebraska game where he's
That
running.
went more than 3 seconds, didn't it, Sam?
Yeah. He's running he's running out of bounds. But he has space. He has an open receiver. He's able to turn and square to the receiver. That's a pass that back in, I don't know, 20 years ago, or maybe before Devin Gardner, Al Borges was like, don't ever do that. But now you're like, okay, in certain scenarios,
Every
number
skill
9,
set's every skill
go do
set's
you.
different, Sam. Every skill set's different. And that's a prime example right there. There was a missed pickup on that play. Okay? There was a missed pickup and the outside guy came free.
You're talking about on the flip play that
On the
he
flip play. Exactly. It was a missed pickup. So he had to go and do his act, which he does well and did very well in this game, I might add. He sprinted to his left. He was not in position to turn to make the throw. Remember, we talked about going to your left, Sam, being able to get your shoulder square to the target and all that. But he wasn't in position, nor was there an available receiver in his line of vision outside. But there was one inside. He saw a ridiculously open Donovan Edwards and flipped the ball, an exaggerated option pitch. You could see he had to put some oomph in it with his body and made a play that I don't draw on the board. Nobody draws on the board. When I draw that play, I want the pickup to be right. I want him to go through the progression, get rid of the ball, or go into his act, however, whatever happens, right? So that's just another prime example of a great player making a great play, and you afforded him the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. He made so many plays right, and so many plays on third down. Now, so many plays on third down that it's like third and long, 3rd and 10. You go back, and I'm sure as we get into the broad brush, this will be kind of a talking point. But again, they put the Michigan in some challenging 3rd and long situations, and he found the answer in his ball placement in this game. In the pass that sticks out to me was that back shoulder he threw.
Oh goodness, yeah, that was next level play there, next level play, and that had nothing to do with any improv. That was just making the play right. Okay, they double move both sides, and one of the guys double move. Matter of fact, 2 tight ends, I think we're doing it. We're hitch and go, hoping that they'd get a hard bite on the hitch. Okay, knowing there's always a possibility. A lot of those guys are coached to collision or grab the guy. They'll rather take the penalty than have the ball thrown over their head, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't really bite, and they ran with Barner, and he saw that, and he back shouldered him. A tight end, which you don't see a lot of that, Sam. You don't see a lot of back shoulder throws to tight ends. You see it; it's there, but it doesn't. You don't see a lot. He placed the ball perfectly, saw the picture, responded to the scenario, and made what really didn't look like a good play initially a good play.
Yeah, you are starting to get some national sort of recognition for just how well he's playing as well. That's another thing that really jumps out about coming off this game last Saturday. I feel like it was his best game quarterbacking at Michigan, and I know it was Indiana. I know he's been in. Oh, I mean, he wasn't better than the Ohio State game. Let me best game he's played this season is what I mean to say. I know it was just Indiana, but again, as you will see in the film study, both with Al and with Devin, Indiana was doing some good stuff out there, and it's the kind of thing that you feel like helps prepare them moving forward. Because I got to take a moment to give Al a nod.
A nod? I get a nod, Sam? I'll take
one. You get a nod. You get a nod, Al, because a couple weeks ago against Bowling Green, JJ, his first interception was on a pass in the end zone, right? You had a drag or a drive from Roman Wilson, and then front side you had AJ Barner running like a stick. I don't know if he ran what he was supposed to run. Okay, let's be clear. It could be that he didn't run the route right. It could be that he didn't make at the right depth. It could be he didn't make the right adjustment. It could have been design.
Could have been a schematic issue. You're right.
Could have been a schematic issue. But I remember vividly you saying, it just to clear the picture for the quarterback, they need to do something like maybe whip that guy, clear the window for the quarterback, especially as he's coming across the field.
Or split him wide. One of the two. He had to detach that corner or get rid of that corner, get him out of the equation so the quarterback wasn't teased into throwing it into a defender who was covering somebody else. They did both.
Mm-hmm.
They did both. They spread the guy wide and they whipped him to make sure there's no damn way he was going to be in the way. But now I'm going to give you a nod, Sam. I'm going to give you a nod. And this isn't my nature, Sam. I don't like acknowledging anything that you notice that I don't, which is very, very little. Okay. But in the press box, you said to me, Al, like you say, Al, he ran a whip out there. And I didn't even notice it. Okay. Because I was watching the inside. And I said, I don't know, Sam. When you say something, my knee jerk is you just think you're full of crap and move on. Okay. But I'll be damned, Sam. You were right. You were right. I looked at the video. I looked at the replay, and he whipped him out just the way you said. He said, Sam, you're amazing. I don't know what your deal is, man. I call you my litmus test. I test everything on you to see if you can figure it out. And that's my gauge for whether I'm going to say it or not.
See, he tries to play it off like he's not vain. What he's really saying is, oh, yeah, this is another side of my greatness that you noticed. That you notice
take it for
another side of my greatness. That's what you're saying. I can cut through all the BS. You said this is no BS though, right, Al Borges? I can cut through it all, man.
Oh,
so, but it's a clear sign that what you're seeing, obviously they're gonna see. They're watching the film all the time, but coaches making adjustments as well. That was a nice coaching adjustment.
It was, Sam. It was. They didn't make the same mistake twice, and I don't know if it was exactly the same play, but conceptually it was very similar, right? But that's not what I'm excited about. I'm excited that you're no longer doing just ball watching. You know what I mean? You just used to be that fan that with his thumb in his butt watching the ball all the time, all right? But you're actually noticing things, and this I think is when you become a more educated fan is when you're not just always watching the ball. Or if you're a receiver, you're always watching the receivers. Or if you're a lineman, you're always watching the line. You want to be able to, and the good thing about being at the game, I said this last week, is we watch whatever we want. We're not inhibited by what the television decides to show us. Okay, so we can watch anything we want, and that's when I think guys take the next step with their football understanding, is they spot things that they would have never seen had they not been educated enough to look there.
Oh man, we got people in the stream right now. One of the first comments earlier in the deal was trading with Rye. He said, yes, Tuesday afternoons where I get one step closer to becoming the water cooler champ. And when Borges looks oh so gorgeous. That's a family member. I know it's an album.
Right. I'm telling you, Rye, we're going to get you there, baby. You are going to be in the Super Bowl of water coolers. There's going to be nobody going to touch you. You need probably about 5 or 6 more watches, to show it, and then you'll be there. There's nobody going to mess with you.
Folks, if you have questions for Al Borges, just start getting them in the stream right now. You know how we do it. Toward the end, we start getting your questions down. And real quick, for those of you who are in the Southeast Michigan, Ann Arbor area, we're having our Beat Sparty party coming up on Saturday. For those of you who are not heading to the game, are not heading to East Lansing, we are going to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill watching the game. Borges is going to be there with his virtual water cooler, kind of, giving you instructions and tips on the game and whatnot. We're going to do the KeyBank countdown to kickoff. We're going to do our pregame show live starting at 3:30 from 3:30 until 6:30. If you want to come out that early, you can.
Sam, do I get to be on the KeyBank countdown to kickoff?
Hey, man, that's it. It's your world, Al. You can be
over. Sam, I kicked Joe off, Coach Joe Simon off, doggone it. I want his time. No,
and then after the pregame show, we'll be there still watching the game. Feel free to come hang out. Great food, TVs throughout, great drinks. We're going to have our families out. It's going to be a great time, great atmosphere as we watch Michigan beat down on Michigan State. Again, that's it.
Sam, incidentally, have you been behaving yourself? This is Michigan State week, and this week brings out the worst in you. I can't
Yeah.
even be around you. About Thursday, I got to get away. I can't
I
even
feel,
keep
hey
it.
man, I just feel like Ryan Day beating up on old people, talking talking about Michigan State, man. That's what I feel like right now. Now, eventually I'm going to do it. Eventually
Uh,
it's going to come, but it's not my nature to just beat up on someone that is beat up on an entity that is as decrepit, as dilapidated as the Michigan State football program right now, and they know it. They know it. I mean, we had a listener said they bought tickets to the game for $15 a piece. Like it's a fire sale on Michigan State tickets right now. So yeah, it's pretty bad. I think the score is going to be pretty bad as well. Not that I'm feeling sorry for Michigan State. It's more that it's just not as fun when they suck. You know, not as fun when they suck this bad to me. But trust me, I'm gonna muster the enthusiasm. It's gonna come. There's gonna be the Michigan
yeah,
State rant.
I
It's
have
coming.
complete faith in you. Yeah, because this week is your favorite posturing week. I mean, you're just.
Nah, it's really Ohio State.
I
It's
don't
really
know, Sam. We might have to take back a few replays of these shows back then. I think you, for every insult you use to Michigan State, for Ohio State, you double them to Michigan State. I don't know why it is.
I don't know. I don't know. Ohio State is bringing out another side of me. But at any rate, if you have the question, reminder again: Black Rock Bar and Grill for the watch party. You want to show up at 7:30? That's fine. You want to show up at 3:30 for the pregame show? Feel free to do that. We're gonna have a great time. Questions for Al? Get them in the comment section right now, and we will get them answered. But first and foremost, as we were talking through, I wanted to lead you into your broad brush of the game, Al. Just your general takes on Michigan beating Indiana 52-7.
Yeah, I didn't like the 4 sacks, and there were sacks for a lot of reasons. The first one was a empty protection where they turned the end loose, and he just didn't look like he had any quick throws, so he was going to have to find a way to buy some time with his legs, and it just didn't look like it was going to get done. So I don't know, I don't know about that one, but they got beat off the edge one time on the right side. Left tackle blew a pickup on that wasn't a sack, I don't believe though, on one, and so I mean that didn't fire me up. But that aside, I really love the way they continue to develop their naked game, their horns or their pin and pulls, whatever you want to call them, their counters. I just, they continue to build on those plays that are, the core of their offense. We talked about the nuance plays, which I love breaking down because they're good to telestrate, and there's stuff that always something there that we haven't talked about before, or something off, something that we have talked about. I talked about JJ's legs and what a huge factor they were. But what I did, Sam, is I went back based on your question. You had asked me a question: how much are they dependent on him too much? And instead of answering just what I think or it seems like, yeah, it drives me nuts. Well, it seems like. No, let's find out. JJ McCarthy on third down. Okay, their third down conversions have been excellent. Okay, they were 6 for 11 in this game. Has improved 11 times, either running to throw, running to run, whatever, scrambling to run. But he's hit structurally 15, where he dropped back, saw the corner, hit it. Drop back, saw the curl, hit it. You know what I'm saying? Drop back, saw the crash, and hit it under pressure. So he is not limited to that circus of scrambling that you may be the play that you remember the best in the game. He can make throws within the confines of the pocket on time, more this year than last. So he is not one-dimensional, not by any means, okay? One thing I have not mentioned, I think that's noteworthy, we haven't talked about, but we have talked about the unique nature of Michigan's offense in that they use a lot of tight ends. They make you defend more gaps. But another thing that factors into that is their split reduction by their receivers. Unlike most college teams who take their receivers sideline to sideline, spread you, run bubbles, run zone reads, all that, Michigan does very little of that. But what they do is they bring those receivers in. Now, why the hell do they do that? It's like playing in a box, They use them. They use them to block fast forcing safeties and force corners to make plays, number one. Okay. They use them to come around on lead plays like you're going to see in this game, like you're going to see where the X came around, led through. They use them to run crossing routes, rather shallow or deep, and they use them to get on the safeties fast rather than from wide alignments so they can run all their flood routes and all that kind of stuff. It's unusual and it's different, but it's effective. And I think one of the reasons is A, Michigan's pretty damn good. But number two is it's not something teams see from other college teams. So I think that's another thing that is a factor. 23 first downs, 6 for 11 on third down, 2 for 2 on fourth down. They've been great on fourth down, 403 yards, 244 passing, 163 rushing, only 2 penalties for 20 yards and no turnovers. Possessed the ball 32 minutes and 47 seconds. I don't like recite the stats too much because they can be manipulated. But there was dominance. At the end of the day, they started slow. Yeah, I'll give you that. But there was dominance before it was all said and done. And you're not going to come – certain games you don't come out breathing fire right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit. But when it was all said and done, they were the dominant team. Something that's interesting I want to point out before we leave the broad brush, because it's at that point in the season where I think you got to assess I know I did and other people do this too, assess play calling. We've talked about how Sharon Moore doesn't really call plays like a line coach, does he? He's really a little different. They've called 62 passes on first down to this point. 62 passes. Of the 62, 23 of them have been play action passes, and most of them have been chunk plays where they're trying to take a big bite. 33 of them had been either drop back passes or quick routes, quick release routes, okay? 3 naked routes. Again, this is on first down because they ran nakeds on other downs too, but this is just first down, and 3 RPOs, okay? But that gives you a good idea of how the play calling's going. You say, well, they're a run team. They don't throw very much. Well, they do on first down. They do when you least expect it. When you most expect them to rush the football, they are not afraid to throw the ball on first down. Now, remember, these are all JJ's plays. I did not break down Jack Tuttle. I just broke down with the ones. The other thing, and I'll close with this, and this is a long, broad brush today, but I've been crunching numbers, and I'm just dying to tell everybody so they can use it at the water cooler. At this point last year, remember how we said, why isn't Donovan Edwards breaking more long runs, and why isn't Blake Corum getting more carries? Remember we said the game, because the rules have shortened, because of they keep the clock running on first downs now. In 2022, at this point, I believe we're still 7-0, but they had run 479 plays. This year, they have run 429 plays. Now, that's 50 plays, Sam. That's damn near a whole game. You understand? Because they're averaging running about, I don't know, maybe 60 plays a game. Well, that makes a difference. That makes a difference in touches. That makes a difference in numbers. That makes a huge difference. So I just thought that was notable. We've been talking about that, but we haven't really presented anyone with numbers to back that up. But I think that should give you an idea.
Yeah, that was Al breaking out his legal pad database. Other people go online databases, right? They have maybe a network in the office. They're able to access different databases. Al literally has a legal pad database where you can go back and see how many first down passes, Al? You say 68?
62 first down
62?
passes. 23 play action passes.
62 first down passes.
First down now. There's more play action passes than that, but not on first down. Okay. And I was more interested in first down because I think one of the things people are saying is, well, they're kind of, they don't have a lot of flair to their offense. And well, that's not necessarily true. At the end of the day, they haven't thrown as many passes as a lot of teams, but when the game is in the balance, they're still pretty flamboyant.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. Question time as you get a chance to ask the key for the answers, right? You want him to unlock some things? Don't let Devin hear me call him the key. I mean, they were in the office yesterday, in the studio yesterday. Oh, man, it was people actually want you guys in the bye week to be on together. I don't know if I can get a referee to take the bye week.
Yeah, you need a referee. You need like Arthur McCarthy or Mills Lane or somebody like that to come in, and because I need him in doses. That I can listen to the Monday Morning Maniac, but about 20 minutes in, I gotta take a break and let's do it again later on once I've recovered.
Yeah, I'll get your take, your experience going back to Michigan State, right? But right now, it's time to get your questions in, folks. If you have questions for Al, put them in the comments right now. GMAG Golf 23 wants to know, Al, do you remember Ludacris on the bus?
I remember him, but I didn't know who the hell he was. Okay, and when I tell that story, I wrote it, put it in my book, and I got on the bus, and everybody was fussing, and this dude, I'm sitting in the front because I was sitting in front. This dude comes and walks in and sits right next to me, and everybody's fussing. I have no idea. I said in the book, I don't know a rapper from a crapper. Okay, I really don't. So uh, they were all fussing, and I looked at him. I said, and he's a nice guy. I mean, really nice guy. And I said, "Hi, I'm Al Borges." He says, uh, "Hi, I'm Ludicrous." And I said, "Is that your name or is that your state of mind?" He giggled, but everybody started. So he started. Everybody wanted to talk to him, right? So I just looked back at the guy in the seat behind me and said, "I go, who in the hell is this guy?" They looked at me like, "Have you been living on another planet?" That's Ludicrous. I go, who the hell is Ludicrous? He's distracting. I would like him to get off the bus, okay? He let it go, no, you're not kicking Ludicrous off the bus. Ain't no way. So they told me who he was, and then I came back. So I'm sorry. I don't follow rap too much, but and so that's my experience with Ludicrous. I wanted to
Well,
throw Ludicrous off the bus, but he was such a nice guy. I don't know that I really should have done that.
all right. Dr. Uday, Dr. Singh, how you doing, man? He said, "Hey, gorgeous." One strap said, Devin has these guys
Ugh.
calling me one strap.
He's
Anyway,
poisoning their brain, Sam. He's
there he
poisoning your
is.
brain.
Yeah, he is. Should JJ be held accountable for 2 of the 4 sacks on Saturday? You go back and look at the sacks. What would you attribute them to on
Well,
Saturday?
the
Go back.
first sack, they were short blockers. Okay. Here's your issue is they were in an empty protection, which means there's only 5 guys blocking, and Indiana brought 6. Well, what our line did is they spotted where they wanted to handle the pressure, and they did it right. They turned right, so they picked off the inside linebacker. Well, now you got to know that the protection's going to the right, who's not blocked. And in this case, it was their right defensive end to the left of the quarterback. Well, on the play, Michigan was running verticals with a shallow cross. There was no available receiver to throw quickly to. So you got to either do one of two things. You got to point off that end and tell that receiver to break his route off so I can throw it to you quick. Okay. Or you got to run back by time and see if you can get the shallow cross off, which is, it's a little dicey. Although I've seen it done. And he's capable of doing it. Well, he did neither. So the guy blew off the edge. He tried to redirect, and he lost too many yards. My complaint on that one, as much as you should never really lose more than 7 yards on a sack, and he ended up losing 14. So he should have minimized that damage a little bit. But you'd have to talk to the coaches exactly how they handle. I'm just giving you our assessment of how we handle it. The other one, I believe, was a play action pass double dig where he ran out of the pocket. I didn't even have this as a sack at the beginning, but he ran out of the pocket. They chased him down. They got him. And on the play, there was good coverage. And he was just trying to make a play and just couldn't quite get it done. So if you put him down for that, then don't put him down or don't tell him how great he is when he completes it to Loveland for a 54-yard touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Is you got to give him a chance to do some of those things. That may cost you at the end of the day. And then they had another sack. I believe what happened. I know the last play, it was play pass grid route, and he got beat off the edge. They got beat off the edge. He got a look at the throw halfway, but he didn't get a great look, and the pocket collapsed, and he went down. So those are 3 of them. The fourth one, let me see. Flanker drive. Flanker drive. He got sacked. They ran a flanker drive, and they covered him good. But to be honest with you, they held 2 of the receivers. They held the guy breaking in. They held the corner out. There was a flanker drive with a smash, I believe, on the other side. and he was looking to throw it. The guy kind of got grabbed. He had to hold it longer than he wanted to, and he lost 3 yards on a sack. So some of them were coverages, some were hot throws, some of them were breakdowns. Guys get beat. A lot of guys didn't get beat though. They weren't like smoking the tackles off the edge. That might have happened once, but it wasn't terrible. But there were a couple other plays that weren't sacks that he made plays on.
Right.
Were breakdowns. Yes.
Yeah, I think you got to see the full picture when you talk about JJ. Now, so to answer the question though, of the 4 sacks, are there any that you would as the coach say, JJ, that's on you?
You could blame the first one because, and again, I don't know how they handle that. I just know how we handle it. That had to be a point off or a by time hot, one of the two. So my first instincts would say that might be him, or just get rid of the ball, right? Don't take the sack. That's the other. There's an instance where throw it. I mean, it's not there. Minimize the damage. There's a time to throw the ball away. I've talked about that ad nauseum, but he wanted to make a play and the play wasn't there. So I guess that's as much his fault. The 14 yards is his fault. Make no mistake. The fact that it lost 14 yards. The other factors, I think you'd have to consult the coaching staff to make sure you know what you're talking about. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes, Sam, sometimes we think we know what we're talking about, right?
But we then we check. We check. We can check our work. We can ask, hey, was there on the flip play to Donovan, was there a missed blitz pickup? And the answer is yes.
Yes, there was.
There was.
Yes,
there was. And guess what? Your quarterback fixed it. Yep. The quarterback made it right. Right?
Just like he fixed them covering the double hitch and go. He fixed that play. And he didn't have to improv to do that. He just adjusted. That's not improv. That's an adjustment.
Yeah, so he fixed the fade.
Point the back of his helmet and throw the back shoulder fade.
Yeah, so, you talked about the pressure coming off the left. That was, you got a guy getting beaten off the left side. He fixed it and pointed and threw a guy open for a touchdown.
That was an interesting one too.
I don't even understand why. I don't understand why that's like a thing. I mean, like that dude played great.
He played great.
He played great in that game.
Yeah, there was a bust on the left side of that play. Ladarius turned the end loose inside. Donovan stepped outside to block the widest split. So they were not turning the protection. The left guard had the walked up linebacker. So Ladarius has got to block that guy wherever he goes. He up and under him. He started up and came underneath. They scraped the backer. Ladarius got confused and went out to get Donovan's guy. Okay, so that's a problem, right? That happens. The quarterback turned a bust into a 54-yard touchdown with all his, traffic cop action and his highly skilled legs. So they tend to forgive the bust. Now you better fix a bust because that'll happen again, okay? But that's what he can do, Sam. He can make you right.
Yeah. Someone wanted to know first down. How many first downs were they? Because Theodore Dodge said 62 passes on first down out of how many first downs? Do you have that?
Well, I have that, but I have that number, but I don't have it with me right now, and I didn't count them. But I'll give that to you if you really want it. That'd be easy enough to get. I got it all written down.
He's got to do it. Of course, Al Borges is going to give you that, folks. Look for that in like the comment section or something. It's coming. All right, Al. Keith Elder wants to know, Al, do you think Michigan is holding some stuff back? And how important is us getting to play so many levels deep? What is that doing for the program, being able to play so many guys?
Get players, so many levels. Well, getting to play guys is huge. And maybe not even for this year, but down the road. I mean, God, dog, the ability to play your backups in at least one quarter of every football game. I don't know if they got in Bowling Green, they may not have, but every other game they did. That's invaluable, and it maybe end up invaluable this year if somebody gets hurt. But even if nobody does, that's playing experience that you can't, you just can't get anywhere else. Some years, Sam, I've coached and they never got in a game. You know what I mean? I mean, every game was so close, you weren't afforded the luxury of putting in your backup. So I think that stuff is really, really important. And I still, like I've said in the past, I think Michigan is always going to have something else in the drawer. Okay. This week they'll play Michigan State. There will be 4 to 5 things that are different, maybe similar to what they've shown, but it'll be different. You'll get a new flea flicker, maybe a different reverse or something. That's ongoing thing. That's how they think, and it's obvious just by studying the play call.
All right, let's go back to the questions. You have questions for Al Borges, put them in the chat. Andrew Vermette wants you to know, Al. Hey, Al, I'm currently 7-0 against my JJ hating coworker. I still can't understand why he's like that. Neither can I. This is a Michigan fan?
He brain dead. Like, tell him he's brain dead. JJ hating? JJ hating? He must be a Michigan State fan.
Gotta be. Gotta be.
No, that's just that's just not right.
That's
and he's 7-0 against him, so it's find another opponent.
Yeah. You're beating up on a coworker. No offense, not too right. Not too right. I'm just saying. You especially it's like looking at this game and saying that JJ was causing sacks. Stop it. That's ridiculous. I don't even know where that line of thinking came from.
It happens. You're gonna once in a while the quarterback is, but this kid, and I heard Devin use this term. He's just not a repeat offender on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Where you're just saying something. I don't know. It's like I think Devin was talking about how Joe Klatt said sometimes he leaves the ball short. Who the hell doesn't? But has that been a habitual problem?
No.
Not on the video I'm watching, and I'm watching the same one Joe's watching. So I think that's trying to find something that's wrong with him. But you can do that easily enough. But there's just not a lot wrong with him.
All right, here's another one. Voltsville wants to know, hey Al, do you think the full menu? What do you think of the full menu of run game compared to last year? I'm trying to understand. Do you think the full menu of run game compared to last year has been displayed yet? Thanks for doing this, guy. So
I think the core of it has. Yes, I think the core of it has. I think you're going to get duo plays. You're going to get open zone plays. You're going to get counters. You're going to get whatever mixed in with some nuanced runs like flies and counter duos and that type of stuff. I think that is, but that's just the beginning of what they do every week. There is always something new. So yes and no. Yes, I think the nucleus is in, but no, they're just scratching the surface of what they want to do with the nucleus.
Yeah, man. You look at you talk about duo plays. This is an example to me of just how it's like a microcosm of what we talk about. Teams know they're going to get it, Al. They know you play Michigan, you're going to get that play. And these guys I'm no coach, will be confused with one, but I keep thinking, all right, there's no other way that you can run this play. I did know you could run a duo bluff, and I predicted about a month ago we were going to see a duo bluff. We probably saw it in this game.
Yeah, he didn't pull it.
Yeah, he didn't pull it. Okay, so you want to talk about JJ on something? Probably pulling it on that bluff, right? He didn't pull it on that bluff.
He's not perfect. Like I tell you every week, Sam, don't anoint the quarterback. He's just a really good player and is a huge reason why they're winning these football games. Does he need to be coached? Hell yes, he needs to be coached. There's so many things, but I say there's so many things. There really isn't that many things, but there are things, right? There are things that can and should be corrected.
All right. So what I'll say, of course, and I get it, and no one's perfect, though. That's my thing. I mean, if perfect is the standard, we all fall short. Is there a quarterback in this country that's playing better than J.J. McCarthy? Hell no. And you can insert an expletive in there. There is no quarterback playing better than him right now. So this is like, you're nitpicking greatness. Now, is there another level that he can, do you coach him on plays he can correct? Because you said you looked at the all-22, and when that bluff he didn't pull, he was like, damn it.
He usually knows. He's coached.
Pulled that, right? Well, I mean, that's one play out of so many others that he made on the day. But getting back to my point about duos, they keep, for their base run play, the run play that everyone knows they're going to get, they keep giving you different looks. Whether there's a different way to run it, a different guy coming across the kick, maybe they're going to bluff it, maybe they're going to play action, pass it on fourth down. They're giving you all these different looks on a play that you would think they have exhausted the hell out of, and clearly they have not.
Yeah, and that doesn't even include the formation presentations, okay? You're talking about all the little things they do off the play, but how about the myriad of formations they did that they show you on the play, whether it's a tight end coming across to kick, whether it's a double wing, whether it's a wide receiver moving back in, whether it's a flip, both tight ends flipping and another guy, and there comes behind the double wing. It goes behind the single wing one time. It goes behind the double wing next time. It goes behind the wide receiver and the tight end another time. There's a different presentation on the play constantly. Never mind all the nuances they use off the play, like the leads and all the stuff you're talking about.
All right, Al, let's get back to the questions. Questions for Al. Put them right here in the chat. We still have some decent amount of time. We're going to get through a good number of these today. All right. Larry and Lisa Lear want to know, most of all defenses we face are getting 8 in the box, even sneaking up a safety. What did you use to stretch them off?
Well, you got to understand, this is a different team than for example, Rich Rodriguez, who was a pure spread guy, right? How did he divided the box with wide receiver formations, bubble them or run controlled to separate defenders and try to run into a soft box. Michigan does that occasionally, not a lot. Occasionally, Michigan is more the hell with that. We're going to run into that loaded box. We have good enough backs to win those one-on-one battles if we can get them started. And the offensive line for 2 years has pretty much done that. They have given the back, although maybe not blocking everything perfectly every time, they have given the back an opportunity to get to the second and third level of defense and use their dookie skills, But you can't use your dookie skills, when you can't get to the line of scrimmage. So they are not afraid to run into that 8th player or run into that 7th player if they're, in a formation that like 11 personnel where, sometimes they'll put a 7th player in there. They're not afraid to do that. And that's why.
All right. So Al, a quick question for you want people to watch a game like a kind of see things not as clearly as a coach, but kind of watch like a coach. You said don't ball watch as much. That's how you're starting to be influenced by the teachings, right? Well, here's a great question from Marshall Ray. He said, Borges, like a fan can fill out their own baseball scorecard, what would go on the equivalent sheet for football? If you had a football scorecard, what
are you most interested in? That would be my question as a fan. Are you interested in the quarterback the most? Okay. And by that, if you were going to fill out the scorecard for the quarterback, you would watch his footwork, his timing on his throws, his ability to improv, blah, blah, blah. If you're an offensive lineman, you may be interested in watching, how they kick step and pass protection, how they handle their combination blocks. It's all in what you're interested in. And some people, Sam, they don't want to watch any. They just want to watch the ball and enjoy the game. And that's most people, But if you do want to take it to the next step, pick a spot and see how they do, see what they do, study what they're supposed to do. And again, that's what I think where our show here is a little different than most. We're not interested in what happened. We're interested in how it happened and why it happened. That is the essence of analysis. Okay. The essence of analysis. And that's what, when I joined the show, that's what I wanted to bring to the show is this is why it's happening, in my opinion. Now you can disagree or agree, whatever you want. I don't care. But I'm just telling you that to me is the most interesting part of the game.
All right. Let's get right back to the questions. Another one. Let's get here. Hey, Matt O Photo in Chattanooga said, when do we expect MSU to bust down to the MAC?
Oh, come on now. Matt, come on, man.
Love it. Come on, man. It's Michigan State week. You told me I got to get on the train.
No, I didn't say. I just said you haven't been on the train, and I know you will. You're compiling insults, and then they'll come pouring out of your mouth at any given moment.
All right. Here's another one. So Matt Stumbo, going back to the Indiana game, I hear a lot about the sleepwalking in the first quarter, but I believe it was a factor of weather and getting a feel for the new coordinator for Indiana since we came alive in the second quarter. New coordinator offensively, I think. But what would you say about the defensive approach? Because they were getting we got a lot of questions about the pressure that Indiana brought. So any concern there about how they were getting home with their pressures, especially out of the gate?
Okay, well, why don't we look at it? Okay, first play, 1st and 10, dash right, flood X quick out. He threw it. The play was designed to check the quick out and then dash to the right and read a flood if the quick out wasn't there. Well, the quick out was there, and the ball was dropped. It was Loveland. He's one of the best receivers on the team. Stuff happens. Okay. Second player of the game was a counter CF. They pulled the center, and it gained 3 yards. Okay. Third play of the game was the empty route we talked about where they came off the edge and he didn't have a hot route. So I don't know. You got to decide whose fault that was based on what the plan was.
Jim chalked it up. What I'll tell you what Harbaugh said. He said, "Look, they brought more than we had to protect." He said, "You know, they got coaches over there too. Sometimes
they got coaches over there too." And that's what I was going to say, Sam. Is I thought Indiana early in the game did an outstanding job of play calling defensively, with their disguise, with their blitzes. They dialed a few defenses into some tough scenarios for Michigan to deal with. And then after the second play, I mean, I could go through all this.
Let me finish the quote. He said they had a better play call than we did on that play.
They did several times. They did several times. That happens. They probably ran openers, Sam, defensive openers. We're going to give them these looks. We're going to give these looks to the offense. Instead of them using openers on us, we're going to use openers on them. But then after the second series, JJ hit a crucial 3rd and 10 play to Loveland. Okay. They moved the chains and the dam broke. Okay. The one thing I heard years ago, and again, I'm a Bill Walsh fan. Bill taught me a lot about it. You say, got to get the first down. Get the first down. Because as soon as you get the first down, you tend to get going. Well, they hadn't done that in 2 series. But once JJ hit him, plus 12 after that, plus 13 after that, plus 3, plus 15 after that, plus 15, plus 4, touchdown. What happened? Why weren't Indiana's defenses all magical anymore? Well, Michigan figured it out, right? They weren't. They gave them all the stuff they had, and then they had to play defense regular sometimes. You know, it wasn't all a trick the quarterback or trick the line deal, and it became Michigan against Indiana, and that's not a good matchup these days.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was watching it with Devin. The play where there was a missed pickup piece, like, man, look at the disguise on this play. Sometimes I felt like they were sleepwalking against Bowling. I'm not saying they are immune to it, right? I felt like they were sleepwalking out of the gate in that game. And there was a little bit of liaise, if you will. But this one, you got to give some credit to Indiana. Like, those dudes used their bye week well. And for about a quarter, it was enough to kind of keep Michigan from opening the can up on them in the first quarter. But that was it. They couldn't keep Michigan from opening up a can on them for the entire game. That was the story of that game.
That's right. But that whoop ass was in the wings. It was coming. Okay. And when the reality of Michigan versus Indiana, and not all the tricky stuff, you know what I mean? Because you can trick your opponent on both sides of the ball sometimes. But expecting to trick your opponent the entire game is highly unlikely, or you know, you got bad coaches. It just shouldn't happen consistently. And the reality of Michigan's team against Indiana's team is 52-7, right? Was that the final score? That's the reality. What the beginning was a mirage, and you can say, oh, they weren't motivated, they weren't this, and maybe they didn't have a great plan in their openers. Maybe the openers weren't very good. That sounds like that's what Jim's saying. But the game is long, okay, and if you finish strong and do what you're supposed to do before it's all said and done, you know, you're not going to always come out breathing fire at the beginning.
All right. A lot of questions about Donovan. I'll go with Marshall Ray's first one. What do you think about Donovan's underperforming, and how would you, as a former coach, go about getting him to perform at the level that he knows he can perform at?
Well, again, the struggle is more the run game, right? I mean, getting him involved in the pass game, they've done I think a wonderful job of it. And even when it hasn't worked, it's been good ideas. They're trying to get him those touches. But the whole key to Donovan, I'm just telling you, and this is I've said this before, he's got to consistently get carries to get out of him what you saw a year ago. And that's what happened. Is he was the number one back, okay? And remember now, they're running a lot less plays. I just made that clear. 50 less plays at this point than last year. That is reflected. That has something to do with Donovan's inability to touch the ball more. So I think there's been times he's made some bad decisions. I think he'd tell you that. But if you let him keep running, you give him that ball 20 times, I would guess he would end up with 100 yards plus. I would bet on it, as a matter of fact. And there might be a couple bad runs in there. I don't know. But eventually he's coming out. He's coming out. They're going to give him some room, and he's coming out. And his speed and athleticism is going to show up. And when guys say, well, he doesn't run very well inside the tackles, I don't buy that either. I think he's made a few running errors in it, but you let him keep carrying the ball, he'll figure that out because he did last year. His runs against Ohio State, where were they, Sam? Those 2 long runs. They weren't around the end. They weren't around the end. I'm just telling you that more carries, and it's hard because you got Corum, and they didn't have Corum at the end of last year.
Yeah. All right. So, tell me what you think of this question. Jack Cooper Wasser, are we doing little to no tight end seam routes? Is that what it's called? Tight end run straight, splitting safeties. I remember those kinds of routes were kind of a bread and butter for Denard and DG.
Yeah, we do a lot of it. Yeah, Michigan runs a lot of seam routes, but you got to I call it vertical smashes. They'll run the inside guys, maybe the tight ends vertical, 2 yards outside the hash with adjustments to split safety defenses and all that. I won't do all that, but and then 2 guys outside either run little stop routes or whatever. But there's a lot of that in their offense. But remember now, he's not going to throw that ball unless he gets the right scenario to throw it. With a 1 safety high defense, there's a good chance those verticals are going to be thrown. But if they split the safeties or play quarters, there's a good chance those safeties, those verticals are going to get carried. So, but they're doing it. No, it's on the tape. But they just haven't been a lot. Now, a couple weeks ago, they did throw one to Loveland, if I'm not mistaken.
They threw 111, and the one where he jumped up and skied the ball, that was 4 verts.
But I've got them. Well, just looking at the play, I've got them running vertical. 3, 4, 5 times a game. It's just
right.
The coverage dictates whether they're going to get it or not.
Right. And so I think that the question is, do they get vertical with their tight ends? Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, they do.
Oh, shit. Well, more than most guys. More than most teams do. That's for sure.
Yeah. So they run vertical. They run 4 verts with tight ends in the seams. I use that to contrast. The reason why I remember that Loveland play so vividly is because I said, look at JJ find him on 4 verts compared to Wisconsin a couple of years ago, where you got Eric All running down the seam screaming open for a touchdown, right? As an example of JJ's just not missing it. Mm-hmm. So if he's not throwing that pass when they call it, it's because he's going where the coverage dictates he goes with the football. But this, to your point, Al, it's in the offense.
Oh yeah, it's in. They got every way to stretch the defense for the passing game you can imagine. The one thing, if I had one thing, and I think it would have been relevant in this game, that I think they could have tried is just taking one and throwing a go route deep, because we have not seen that much. Okay, take a little 3-step gun throw or take it under center and play pass it, and let CJ and Roman run go routes. Because in this last game, particularly early in the game, Sam, and this is another reason they were struggling a little bit early, they were sitting on cuts. Those corners were not backpedaling. They were even to a point when they closed the distance, they were grabbing them. So, and the way to get them out of that is stretch them. And I don't mean layered routes. I don't mean post cuts. I'm talking about just take the ball deep behind them and let it rip. I think that's something that they haven't done much. That would probably be a pretty good addition, particularly when you play teams like Indiana.
So another one that's in keeping. This is kind of a wrap it up in a nutshell. And I'm going to include pressures in this. Hi, Al, question about the sacks. Are there any concerns about the OL, QB, and pass pro, or is it just a matter of a defense winning that rep? We kind of covered this already as you went over every sack, but let's throw in the pressures. And let's also put it in perspective. Michigan had been sacked 3 times on the season heading into this game, right? So would you really call 4 sacks in one game a concern, given they had only given up 3 before? No. But let's look at the pressures and the sacks in this game. Was there a theme to them, Al? Was it mostly, someone said, was it mostly the quarterback causing the sacks? You already answered that question. No. Was it a matter of guys just getting beat, or was it a matter of busts? If it was a matter of busts, were the busts mostly on, the front of the line or the backs, or what would you say?
I think all of the above, because Some of them were some matchup issues. Another one was a quarterback. I'm assuming it was a quarterback. So protection issues. We've had some of those too. So it's not. But here's the deal: is it hasn't been habitual.
Right.
Well, they got 6 sacks on the year. Alabama's got 31, Sam. Alabama's got 31 with a very, very mobile quarterback. Okay. 31. I was watching Nick Saban's press conference yesterday. 31 sacks. So 6 sacks to 31. Now they might consider they may have a little problem there. Either he's not releasing the ball or whatever. I don't know. But with us, coach up the problems. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and don't panic. Fix it. Fix it the best you can fix it, so other people don't exploit it, and move on. But no, I'm not losing. I wouldn't be losing any sleep at this point.
Yeah, you talk about guys taking the right guy on a sort, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that flash with a couple different guys, so that would be something you coach them on, right?
You got to coach it up, keep doing, because they're going to try and find ways to trick the sort. You know, they did it this last game on the left side, on the one where he threw the touchdown pass. They're going to find ways to trick the sort. Get up and walk people up, get people to jump people and do all this and twist somebody or whatever. These defensive guys, they're like we are. They draw these things up, and we get them in third down. Or we're licking our chops. If they go, we're getting a 3-man line, and we'll make them sort protect, and we'll do all this. You know what I mean? So they better be prepared for all the possibilities. But I just don't see it as a habitual problem. Not yet, anyway.
Only time for a few more, folks. John Salemi wants to know why so few explosive runs so far this season. Now, what do you see?
That is again, less plays. I think that has something to do with it, but that is a little bit. That's a tough one. I don't know why there hasn't been. I would have thought by now there would be a couple explosive runs, but what I would say to that is no, maybe there's not. But you know what I told you? I sent this in a text to you, Sam. Michigan has proven that they don't need a lot of explosive runs to score a lot of points. That's which last year they did. They had a lot of pit points scored on explosive runs. But what they do have is a very efficient running game. And if they're getting explosive passes to compensate for that lack of explosive runs that they had a year ago, and your run game's efficient, it's not like they're stopping your run game. My response to that is, so what? You still get 6 points both ways, right? They don't give you more if you run 80 yards for a touchdown than if you run 2. So if the ball is efficiently being run and the passing game is efficiently being run and you're getting good bites in the passing game, which they're doing.
Matt Photo Chattanooga said, in all seriousness, thank you guys for what you do. If I had a water cooler to hang around, I would definitely be the champ. Instead, my football knowledge has grown exponentially from watching.
Exponentially, and also your vocabulary has grown too. I send that word to Devin. Okay, I'm trying to expand his vocabulary. Although he had a good one the other day on his show. I don't know what he said. He pulled it right out of his butt.
He said propensity.
Propensity. Oh, that was propensity. And then, but the question is, can he spell it? I bet he can't spell it.
All right. Only, like I said, only time for a few more. Here's one that I think is, we don't give this dude enough attention as far as I'm concerned. From Steve Horn, said, question for the key. Would you like to see more I formation with Bredesen being such a good fullback blocker? What do you think, Al?
No.
I'm with you.
No.
That dude,
a little bit. I like it a little bit. Like they ran that. Sam, they ran 2 touchdowns on G leads from the I formation. That was cool. Bredesen led up in there. But no, the I formation is a once in a while deal. But no, I think the way they formation is perfect. Don't change it. And if you want to mix in an I play here and there to keep, what was his name again, Sam?
Max Bredesen.
No, not Max. The guy that sent in the question.
Oh, Steve Horn.
Steve, yeah. If you want to keep Steve happy, mix in a couple eyes. But I don't.
Well,
I don't
Steve,
think that's.
Here's what I would say. Just watch number 44. That dude is playing his ass off this season.
He's playing as consistently as anybody in the whole offense. I played these guys, and I can't find much wrong with him. So
that dude is having a hell of a season. I just don't know how as a fan you would measure that statistically. But he could do everything. You want him to ISO or insert, he can do that. But all the move stuff they have him do, he could come out and bang a guy on a split zone or a duo kick. And if you want him to come around and find work. How many guys do you see come around the corner or get to the second level and miss guys? We see it all the time at both levels. He finds work every time. Every time. That dude's having a hell of a season. Like you need to
Yeah,
appreciate Max Bredesen.
he is, and he probably doesn't get talked about too much, but he is as consistent an entity as there is on the offense, including JJ McCarthy. Now JJ's more dynamic. Don't get me wrong, but if you want consistency of play, I would say Max Bredesen would be at the top of that list.
All right. Last one. Al, talking about Michigan not seeing action in the fourth quarters. Do you think there's a concern from a conditioning and mental strain perspective that the starters have not played 4 quarters of football in a game?
No, no, they're in shape, and it's too bad a lot of the fans don't get a chance to go in and see what they do uh, in the off season, during fall camp, and even now how much they are busting their tail uh, so they can play 4 quarters. So I don't know that is I don't see that as a problem at all. And I think one thing evidence of that is look at how well Michigan has played in big games in the fourth quarter. They have really. A couple of years ago, they took Ohio State and shoved them in the end zone a couple times, only because they were in great shape. They did it again last year. And so that's been tested with this strength and conditioning coach and with the head coach, and they've passed that test with flying colors.
Yeah, both Bill talking about Max Bredesen. He might be the best fullback, H-back in the Harbaugh era. Dude is flattening people. No, he is. I don't think there's a debate.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely is.
I really liked a couple years ago Mason, but Max has the ability to change direction better than Mason. He can get in and out. Like when he's pulling around trying to find an entry point on a counter, something like that, or an insert. He's athletic enough to change direction, move around defenders, and still hit his target, and efficiently hit his target, so the guy didn't make the play. So
Right.
he brings something to the table that is hard to find for a good quality move tight end, which is what he is.
Yeah, and he can think on his feet too. If his guy spot, I mean, he can think on his feet. As we get out of here, Al, your memories of Michigan State and Keys.
Oh, they're all bad. Oh. Why would you ask me that? They're not good. Well, they're not all. In 2012, we beat them, but it wasn't any great offensive show, that's for sure. But the one thing I will say about that game is because of the way both teams are playing, it's just assumed. And Sam, we've talked about this now. Okay, now I want you to remember I said this. It's just assumed that Michigan's going to mop the floor with them. You and Sam, you sat with me a couple years ago and watched that video of them playing against Michigan. And guys that were C players, C plus players, became B and B plus players when they play Michigan. This team will play Michigan very, very hard. And until their will is broken, which ain't easy to do because they got a chip on their shoulder in this game, okay? Until their will is broken, Michigan better assume this ain't going to be easy. And I can say that from my own experience, and I can say that from watching the last few years.
Yeah, you faced good Michigan State teams, though.
Yeah, they were at the pinnacle of their success. But I didn't face the teams they played a couple years ago, but they looked like they had the same mentality,
Yeah. Well, here's what we know about Michigan heading into this game. There's no way they're going to overlook this team after how last season or the last game last season ended. I mean, I talked to enough players. You guys watched the Behind the Uniform series. Yeah, it was they already have it circled. They already emphasize it as a rivalry game, but it's personal. It's personal. It's not to get dirty, but it's one of those games where it's not the collegiality and the being cordial. Nah, if Michigan has the opportunity to run up the score in this game, it's getting run up, Al Borges. It's getting run up like a flag up a flagpole. It's not coming down. It's all gas, no brakes.
You're saying they're going to see if every light in the scoreboard works? Is that what you're telling me?
Damn right. Damn right. So go see if Michigan fans can take over that stadium. I hope that is the case. That'd be a beautiful sight if there are more Michigan fans than Michigan State fans in that stadium by the time that game is over. I know where there are going to be a lot of Michigan fans.
At Black Rock. At
Look
Black
at you.
Rock, Sam.
Al, you sound like a content producer, man. You
Bad.
sound like a show host right now.
Yeah, we're
That
going
is
to be
right.
there.
We are having our
Sam.
beats party, watch party in Ann Arbor at Black Rock Bar and Grill, 3776 South State Street in Ann Arbor. Al Borges will be holding court.
Sam, I'm telling you, we will break the record for the most lies told at one gathering, okay?
Hey,
it will be so good.
Al, I think I'm going to bring a water cooler for you, man. Just so you can stand by it. That's what I think I'm going to do. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, hey, come to me. Here's a water cooler, man. Bring your best game. You better know what time it is. Because if you don't know what time it is, you're going to get slam dunked.
Yeah, so if you are in the area and you want to come hang out either for the KeyBank Countdown to Kickoff starting at 3:30 on Saturday, our pregame show, come on down between 3:30 and 6:30 for that and stay for the game because we'll be having our watch party watching Michigan State beat the Spark or watching Michigan beat Michigan State. And then, of course, all the food, the great steaks, the great drinks, the great desserts, TVs everywhere. No better place in Ann Arbor if you're a sports fan to take you in the action. That's at Black Rock Bar and Grill this Saturday, 7:30 for the watch party, 3:30 if you want to get there earlier for the KeyBank Countdown to kick off our pregame show. Until next time, folks, thanks for watching another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown. Check out the film studies tomorrow with all the guys. We have the next episode of Steady Dropping Dimes going live at 3 o'clock tomorrow as well, so be sure to join us for that with Devin Gardner and Daniel Horton. Thanks for watching another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown with Al Borges, focused on the offense.